confronting the structural drivers of instability, poverty, exclusion, unemployment, inequality, weak institutions, climate vulnerability, and the absence of economic opportunity, particularly for young people. That is why strengthening Africa's strategic autonomy in matters of peace and security remains an imperative. And it is why we reiterate with clarity and conviction the urgent necessity of reforming global peace and security governance, particularly the United Nations Security Council. It is both indispensable and unconscionable that a continent of nearly 1.5 billion people, represented by 54 sovereign states and constituting one of the largest blocs within the United Nations, continues to remain excluded from permanent representation on the Security Council. Such inequality, ladies and gentlemen, such inequality erodes legitimacy, undermines credibility, and diminishes confidence in multilateral systems itself. No global governance architecture can credibly claim to be democratic, to be representative, to be just, or fit for purpose, while a substantial part of humanity remains absent from the table where the world's most consequential decisions are made. The time has come, therefore, for the international community to recognize, without ambiguity or without delay, that Africa cannot and will not and must not remain subject to decisions taken without its equal voice on the table. The reform of the Security Council is not merely an institutional adjustment. It is a moral obligation. It is a strategic necessity. It is indispensable to restoring trust, legitimacy, and confidence in the international order itself. Kenya, therefore, remains steadfast in its support for the common African position as articulated in the Ezulwini Consensus and the Sirte Declaration, which calls for Africa to be accorded permanent representation on the Security Council with all the prerogatives and privileges of permanent membership alongside additional non-permanent seats. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Africa does not need privilege, but fairness. We don't need exclusion, but inclusion. We do not seek confrontation, but partnership anchored on mutual respect, shared responsibility, and of course, shared progress. This summit, therefore, presents us with an opportunity to define a new era of engagement between Africa and its partners, an era based not on dependency, but on dignity, not on extraction, but on value creation, and not on short-term transactions, but on long-term shared prosperity. Because the Africa we envision is an Africa of confidence, an Africa of ideas, an Africa of innovation, an Africa of enterprise, an Africa that believes in itself, invests in its people, mobilizes its own resources, and engages the world as an equal partner in shaping balanced, prosperous, and peaceful global future. Africa is rising, determined to shape its own destiny, and increasingly prepared to shape the future of the world itself. That is the Africa Forward agenda. An agenda grounded not on dependency, but in sovereignty, not in vulnerability, but in resilience, and not in limitation, but in possibility. That is the Africa whose time has come. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya is deeply honored to co-host this summit here in Nairobi. We look forward to productive deliberations, practical outcomes, and enduring partnerships capable of advancing prosperity, stability, dignity, and shared progress for our people and for future generations. I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the warm welcome and for reinforcing Africa's economic position today and the importance of partnerships such as the Africa-France partnership. Asante sana, Your Excellency. And now it's my profound honor